Hello, I'm Antonio Mora. This is the News and News.com Day in Brief. Today's top stories in 4 minutes. It's Monday, October 1st at about 7 p.m. Let's stipulate to a few things. The confirmation of a nominee to the Supreme Court is not a simple job interview. It leads to a lifelong appointment to a position that has the power to change the very character of this nation. The standards must be higher. If Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted anyone as a teenager, senators have every right to vote against his nomination. If Brett Kavanaugh lied to the Senate, he also deserves to be rejected. However, if the standard is going to be that uncorroborated accusations about someone's behavior as a teenager are enough to derail a nomination, then what sane person will subject him or herself to this gauntlet? To nobody's surprise, it seems that the battle against the Kavanaugh nomination has turned to focus on whether he lied in his portrayal of how much he drank when he was younger. A couple of people he knew in his college days have said he drank frequently, was a sloppy drunk, and could get belligerent. Kavanaugh testified that he did drink to excess when he was younger, but didn't black out. Some of those classmates disagreed, arguing that he was so drunk at times that he must have forgotten what happened on some nights. Other classmates support Kavanaugh. How do you prove any of it? What if Kavanaugh downplayed his drunkenness and wasn't fully accurate? It's certainly relevant to the he said, she said in the Ford sexual assault allegations. But on its own, would a not fully accurate characterization of his drinking rise to the level of perjury? Would it disqualify him from the Supreme Court? Again, what should the standards be, and to whom should they apply? Is cocaine use disqualifying? Cocaine possession can be a felony, but would you have wanted Barack Obama to be disqualified from the presidency? How about George W. Bush? Disqualified for his DUI arrest when he was 30? The list of uncorroborated sexual assault allegations against Bill Clinton as an adult is long. Maybe the standards should be much tougher if you want to serve the American people at the highest levels. Maybe tougher standards would give pause to teenagers who are interested in politics. This is all relevant because Republicans are accusing Democrats of constantly moving the goalposts, trying to find new ways to derail the nomination. The bottom line is that it is all dishonest. Republicans acted stupidly when they took a hard line, popular with the GOP base, that didn't allow the FBI to immediately expand its background checks on Kavanaugh as soon as the Ford allegations came to light. But no, they cynically tried to avoid it. If they had allowed the FBI to do its job, Kavanaugh would probably already have moved into his office at the Supreme Court. Democrats have taken hypocrisy to new levels. They didn't do anything to investigate the allegations for weeks, not even asking Kavanaugh about them in private meetings or in his original hearings. Back then, disclosure would have demanded a full FBI investigation. Now, Democrats accuse Republicans of rushing to judgment. They seem to forget that many of them said they'd oppose Kavanaugh within hours of his nomination in July. Rush to judgment? So here we are, today, watching senators and the White House trying to micromanage the FBI and arguing over who gets interviewed in the investigation. Why can't these politicians on both sides just be quiet and allow the FBI to do its job? As Senator Flake admitted last night on 60 Minutes, the compromise to allow even a one-week FBI probe would never have happened if he were not retiring from the Senate. The move would have ended his career. So here we are, more than ever hostage to the extremes of each party. Who would have thought even a decade ago that socialists would hold sway among Democrats, or that white supremacists would influence a U.S. president's comments on racial hatred? This is what happens when people can't be bothered to vote. By the way, the Supreme Court started its new term on this first Monday in October with an empty seat. The death toll from the earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia has exceeded 1,200. A deal with Canada was reached, so we now have a new NAFTA called the USMCA. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Maybe the Village People can write a song about it. USMCA. And China canceled security talks with the U.S. as a U.S. Navy ship had what is described as an unsafe interaction with a Chinese warship on Sunday. In our alternate universes segment, The Great Divide Between Conservative and Liberal Media, I try to limit my viewing of what I call outrage TV on the left and the right. And the problem is that if you want to watch news on television in the mornings, you don't have much choice. Most so-called news shows are really opinion television, an endless procession of pundits expressing their outrage from the left and the right. Watching the first few minutes of Fox and Friends at 8 today was almost funny. Not that I'm saying anything new, but it is basically a propaganda show for Trump. It seemed as if the anchors were reading White House press releases and spouting White House talking points over and over again. But if you watch CNN, it's shamelessly anti-Trump in every possible way. Today, one anchor wondered if it's, quote, time to start worrying about Kanye after the rapper's pro-Trump rant on SNL. She mentioned her concern over his nonsensical rants, but then she admitted she hadn't even heard this one. So how does she know it was nonsensical? Whatever you think about Kanye's SNL comments, the reality is that he turned long, rambling, confusing monologues into a boring art form a long time ago. He still puts out music and makes millions, so I'm not too concerned about him. I do feel sorry for anyone who's stuck listening to his rants. Over at MSNBC, I used to be a Morning Joe viewer, but that's now unwatchable with its constant, extremely predictable anti-Trump rants. And other than the 7 o'clock half hour of CBS This Morning, the morning shows on the broadcast networks are mostly giggle fests. It's time to go back to reading newspapers. Or better yet, newsandnews.com, where you will find all you need to know in one place, updated around the clock, 7 days a week. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video. Please follow us on Facebook at Real News and News, and follow me on Twitter at AMoraTV. I'll see you again tomorrow.